Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vanity Ezel, back into the Card Fight Vanguard, Ezel and the Vanity weekly reviews. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let's go on to Jawi. This time we are covering some more reviews from set 12. We have the more coincidental quintuplets. I'm pretty sure I said that wrong. We have a few good cards that are just all around generic, especially some of my favorites for Brandgate. And while this doesn't happen this week, we have something to look forward to next week, and that is Orphis Masquez. I know I'm saying it wrong, I don't care. So let's go and get the start, shall we? First of today, we start off with some Brandgate reveals, probably one of my favorite Brandgate cards ever. Schwarzwurzer Eins. I'm not going to be able to pronounce any of these. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto, rear guard. When you're grade 2 or greater, set orders put into your order zone, put the student to soul, draw a card. All around, pretty solid. I love the German theme behind it because Eins is one in German. I don't know why this is the one fact I know about anything, but I just love the German theme behind that, and also getting to soul and draw a card is all pretty nice because it adds soul, it gets hand cards as long as you have grade 2 set orders, and I have a feeling I know what my friend's going to run in his Orphis deck now. So, nice, solid grade 1. It's just nice to have, and I think it's probably the 3 of any deck that either wants the soul or the draw. Then we have Schwarzwurzer Zwei, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. Continues rear guard if your opponent's rear guard was retired this turn by the ability of your set order. These units with 10k power. Okay, so clearly based off the German naming theme, if that wasn't clear already, this is kind of meant to go with Velstra's theme, just because, you know, the German naming theme and then like the requirement of the set orders. So the free 20k, I mean, you could also pull it off in the Orphis one, because I think they have that one world order that can kill something. Either way though, pretty solid cards. If you can't tell they have a theme, Eins and Zwei, you know what's dry is 3. You know, if they were logical, they would, I don't know, make a grade 3 version, preferably one with the Vanguard skills, so we could have a full ride line. But no, I won't be allowed to be happy, so they're not going to do that. But if they do that, I will eat my own shoe, because I legitimately want to see a grade 3 named Dry that has a Vanguard skill. I don't care if it's simply put on place Counterblast 1 to draw a card. As long as it has the Vanguard skill, I would be satisfied. Please, Bushy, give this thing a Vanguard skill and make it a grade 3. Either way, it's all grade 2 though. I don't know, nice 3 of in, I guess, a Volstor deck, or depending on what they do with Orphis, a possible 3 of with that as well. If you can't tell, I'm interested in Orphis Masquez, mainly for my friend's sake, but still. And we have Ground Gorge Dragon, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. Continues rear guard if your Vanguard's critical is 2 or greater. It gets plus 10k power, active on both players' turns. Okay, cool. I don't know why they keep making these abilities. Like, if a Vanguard has 2 crit exactly or more, it gets 10k. I guess this is now just a standard thing, and every deck's now going to run Tri-Bash simply because Tri-Bash is a guaranteed 2 crit to almost every deck. So, cool. Possible 20k swinger. There's not much more I can say about this 2 of 3 of. And then we have, of course, our quintuplet cards. First up, we have After the School Festival, Miku Nakana. I swear, this is a pain in the ass to put on the slides, because their names are always, like, this part the same, and then, like, this part is different. So every time I'm putting them on here, and because I have to crop around the images, too, I legitimately have to pay such close attention to what card I'm putting in here, so I make sure I'm not copying it onto the next slide. Anyways, grade 1 boost 5k shield, decade base. Auto when placed when placed from the quintuplets, gain a memories of quintuplets crest, and then continues guard circle. If you have 3 more different named quintuplets in your memory, guess plus 5k shield. Okay, so they're all just sharing that ability. You know what before I said was worse, that the fact that none of the, like, a lot of grade 1s and grade 2s weren't getting rear guard abilities. At least they had abilities that weren't just multiplied across the entire ride lines, but whatever, cool. And then we have Arriving at One's Dream, Miku Nakano, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when placed upon a grade 1 quintuplets, look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Show up to 1 quintuplets from among them, place into your memory, and shuffle your deck. Okay, exactly what I said before, standard skill. And then continues rear guard. If your rear guard is returned to your hand by the Vanguard's ability during this turn, it gets plus 5k power, and if you have 5 or more different named quintuplets in your memory, it gets plus 10k instead. So, cool. Possible 20k, most likely at least a 15, and not to mention the fact it's just the standard grade 2 ability of get a free quintuplets from the top 7. There's not much more I can say about this. Again, they have 5 different ride lines. I feel like they could have made each a little bit more unique from each other, but whatever, I guess. That's just not how it works. So, cool. 1 of in the ride deck, maybe 2 of in the main deck, I don't know. When we have quintuplets, Miku Nakano. That's the last time I have to say it today. I'm happy. Grade 3, 10%, 13k base. Auto when placed on Vanguard circle with the top 7 cards of your deck. To 2 quintuplets from among them. Reveal them, add 1 to your hand, add the other into your memory, and shuffle the deck. Again, I say literally all of them have had that exact same skill. Please, Bushy, stop doing this. And that contains Vanguard. If you have 6 or more different named quintuplets in your memory, all your farmer gets plus 10k power for their quintuplets. And then Auto Vanguard when this unit attacks. Counterblast 1, choose 2 of your quintuplet rear guards, return them to your hand, and call 2 quintuplet units from cards to open rear guard circles. So this is just Lyrical Monasterio. I think the only reason this is not a Lyrical Monasterio line is simply put, Lyrical Monasterio alone is a line full of idols, and I guess this is supposed to be like the idols going to different places. I cannot think of any logical reason outside of that of why this isn't in Lyrical Monasterio. So, cool. Nice card ability, can bounce stuff, can get numbers. There's not much more I can say about it. Take that as you will. Then we have Memories of the School Festival Miku Nakano. Grade 3, normal order, quintuplets. You may play this card if you have quintessential quintuplets Miku Nakano. Choose up to 2 quintuplets with the same name from your drop zone. Place one to the bottom, place the other into memory, as per usual. And then if you chose one or more cards, perform the following based on the number of quintuplets in your memory. Choose your vanguards, it gets plus 15k power if you have 3 or more. 5 or more, you countercharge 1, and 7 or more, give the vanguard the ability to end of turn and continues vanguard all your quintuplets. You get plus 5k power. Cool. So, very simplistic. All of them get the 5k. I swear all of these give the 5k. I'm starting to see the similarities between each of these. The counter charge is nice, and not to mention the free 15 of Vanguard is also very nice, especially because I don't think the Vanguard gets power from her skill. So, it gets power from this skill, but it doesn't get power from this one. So, all around, pretty solid order. Not bad. It's at least a nice 3 of. Then we have Thoughts to Convey, Miko Nakano. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto, and placed on rearguard circle during your main phase. If you have Vanguard quintuplets in this card name, look at top 3, choose up to 1 quintuplets from among them, put one into the memory, and then shuffle the rest back to deck. And continues rearguard. If you have 3 or more different name quintuplets in the memory, it gets plus 2k power. Cool, so 10k swing that's active on both players' turns. Cool, nice to have for grade 1, 2 over 3 of. Actually, you might want to run a 4 just for the different names, honestly. Then we have Ideal Figure Miku Nakano. Great Gen set 5k shield, 10k base, auto, and placed on rearguard circle. If you have a front row, when placed on rearguard circle in the front row due to a card's ability, if it's your card's ability, if your Vanguard is quintessential quintuplets Miku Nakano, counterblast 1 and place 1 quintuplets from your drop zone to bottom. Choose one of your other rearguards and combat it, stand it, and if you have 5 or more different memories, you get to draw a card. So all around, pretty solid. Like, it does actually do something good for the decks that benefit from multi-attacking, because you can stand the unit behind it, so you get 2 boosts that turn, but then also in the sense that it's also a required draw, it's a may draw, so you don't have to draw if you don't want to. All around, very solid grade 2. I will say this is the most unique clean card I've seen by far in terms of skill for these guys, so I will give it a 3 of. Then we have an interesting prison card that if it wasn't for its name, I'd arguably run this in my prison deck. Space Prison Chief Jealous. So grade 2 set 5k shield, 10k base, auto when placed on rearguard circle. You may choose one of your opponent's cards in prison in your prison. If you do, choose a card, your opponent adds that card to their hand, and this unit gets 20k power for the turn. Okay, that is incredibly powerful, because not only do you get to pick the card, but first up, it's not mandatory at all, so you can choose not to pick something if you don't want to, but because you get to pick the card, that means you can force your opponent to get a grade 3 or any useless card in their order zone back to their hand, and then you get a free 20k power out of this. That is a pretty good ability, and again, since it's a make clause, you literally don't have to do it, and even if you choose to do it, you don't have to pay any cost towards this whatsoever. So, very solid grade 2. Definitely a 3 of, at the least, 2 over 3 of, and that's all I can say about it. But this does remind me that prison, would, I don't know, I'm not going to say benefit, because I don't know if they would benefit from it or not, but, would appreciate at least the attention of getting another set order, so the deck doesn't feel like it's just been doing the same exact thing for, what was it now, 12 sets? So, Bush, if you're listening to this, please give us another set order. I don't care if it's good or not, just give us another set order to prove the fact that you do listen to people. Then we have Aurora Battle Princess Rifle Lawyer, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Okay, this thing is just... You walk into a courtroom with this, someone's dying, end of story. Continues rearguard during your turn. If your opponent has 2 or more cards in prison in your prison, it gets plus 5k power. As the standard triple rare / double rare ability of every single prison support card, because at this point they can't think of anything else unique to give them. Act rearguard circle once per turn. If your opponent's card was in prison in your prison during this turn, so not when it is, it's at any point during your main phase. If something was in prison this turn, you can do the skill. Counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's rearguards, imprison it, and then look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You have to 1 unit card from among them with the same grade than or equal or less than your Vanguard. Call it to rearguard and shuffle your deck. Cool. So simple counterblast, get another card in prison as long as you can prison something else that turn, and not to mention the fact that it can also get your rearguard. I would say that this is good, because don't get me wrong, its ability is good, but the thing I see more about this is this effect, and as a guy that plays prison, unless I'm playing against a nuke deck that is something on the lines that can casually nuke your entire board with little resources paid for it, this absolutely does nothing for me because the deck both I've played against and have also played as can straight up get a rear guard board out of nowhere, and then even if it dies once, it can get it back a second time, and there are a handful of games where it can get it right back a third time. So, like, don't get me wrong, this ability is fine, but from just my experience of playing against and as Prison, against nuke decks especially, where this is the only way I can see this being useful, I just don't see this being worth the simple counterblast. But like, it's still good because it does get another Imprison and it does get you a unit, but I mean, again, from what I've seen and how I've played against it, unless I'm playing against a nuke deck and I brick hard, I don't see me using that ability more than once. So take that as you will. If you choose to run, it's a 3 of. I do love her art though. Then we have White Treasure Beast Synthetica, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. This thing is so cute, and yet I know I'm never going to use it. Auto when it's placed on rear guard or guard circle, put 2 cards total from your soul or drops on that were in the ride deck originally back into your ride deck face up, and then perform either the following according to the circle this unit was on. Choose a set order from your drop zone, add it to your hand, or if it's on guard circle until end of battle, these units can hit shield. Okay. You know what? I didn't read its actual ability before this. I kind of saw the art and I immediately, like, all I saw was this, and I immediately assumed this was like the Ruby Beast, which, by the way, in terms of slide order, this was the Ruby Beast slide last time. But, no, that's actually pretty good that they have that little bit uniqueness. I mean, I think they're all going to have the 15k shield, but it's nice that they have their own little uniqueness for the rear guard skill, and being able to bounce a set order from drop zone back to hand is all around pretty solid, because you can use it to, you know, extend combos a little bit more. So Synthetica is a pretty solid grade 1. I'll say it deserves like a 2 of, because again, you can only use it really twice per game, but I mean, still pretty good. And then we have Blink Clock Dragon, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Yeah, that's an 8. Auto when placed on rear, when you're put into your soul from the rear guard circle, counterboss one to draw a card. Okay, fair enough. Can all be winners. I mean, it's a CB1 to draw a card. If you find a way to just consistently start sending stuff to soul without paying counterblast like Barthelmedes, because I don't think Barthelmedes had to send specifically 2 grade 3s, so I think you just wanted to send 2 grade 3s to soul. You get that draw on top of it, so all around, solid grade 1. It's not amazing, but it's not the worst thing in the world either, so if you choose to run it, 2 of. And then we have Apathetic or Usurper. I don't know why I can't say that word now. I said that word so much yesterday, and now I can't say it. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rearguard. At the end of your turn, if this unit's on the Draco tree marker rearguard circle, you may soul charge 1. Cool. I swear I read something like this last week, but I guess I didn't. Cool. That is a free soul charge that is not mandatory in any way, shape, and form. So, all around, pretty solid grade 1. You can soul charge if you want to, and if you don't want to, cool. That's all I can say about it. 2 over 3 of. Then we have Explosives Equipped Dragon Launchared. So grade 2 instead of 5k shield, 10k base. Okay, amazing art, and I will never use its skill, sadly. Auto, when discarded from your hand by the cost of your Vanguard with Nirvana, its card name, Soul Blast 1 and call this card to rearguard circle. So cool. Downside is this, it has to be specifically discarded by a Nirvana cost, so if you're not going to do that, then you can't use the skill. But if you discard it via Nirvana ability, Soul Blast 1 to call it, and then continues rearguard during your turn. If you have a crossover just rearguard, it gets a boost. So cool. It's a 10k booster, and not to mention the fact it can get you rearguard for a simple Soul Blast and help set up the drop zone. Here's the reason why I won't run this. In both of my decks that run Paradragon, so my Nirvana crossover dress deck that's focused on crossover dress, and then my Nirvana over cross dress deck that literally just has one of each of pretty much everything in that deck is a one of, except for the Paradragons and the PGs and the, you get the point. Reason why I won't use this, and it kind of goes for both, space, but also in the sense of I already have my 3 favorite prayer dragons in both of them. I love Brahmada, it's my favorite prayer dragon, so I ain't scrapping it for this thing. I love Garu Amira for its art and its skill when it actually chooses to work, even though its skill is 50-50 on working or not. I still love it when it does work, and I love its art, so no on this one. And then Strigalio, while I don't necessarily love I don't hate Strigalio either. I don't love him neutrally. I do love him more than neutrally, but like it's not as much as Garu Amira and Brahmada. It is my friend's favorite prayer dragon, so by default it has value over this. So as much as I love this thing's art, I am never going to use it. So sorry, Launchared, you have a solid skill and is worth the warning of a 2 over 3 of, but I have literally no reason to run it over the prayer dragons that I already love. So take that as you will. Then we have Engravings of the Stars, False Celestial Spear. So grade 3, normal order, amazing card art. Like, look at this, it's beautiful. Play this card if you have an Astraeo Vanguard. Countercharge 1, choose 3 trigger units from your drop zone, put them all into Soul. And then if you removed a card with Astraeo and his card name this turn, choose one of your Vanguards that gets a crit for the turn. Cool. So you get a guaranteed free countercharge Then you can send 3 triggers into your soul. So automatically, if you're on Unica, you just benefited from that a lot. And then finally, if you had removed an Australia this turn, so if you're on Baika, you get an extra crit to Vanguard. And I forgot if Baika gets a crit from itself, where it has another ability instead of a crit, like it gets a drive instead. But if it doesn't get the crit, then this is our way pretty much to basically re-trigger Unica's skill while you're on Baiko. So cool. Free 3 triggers, countercharge, does literally all of this by having an Australia Vanguard and possibly even a crit. You'd be insane not to run this at least a 3 of. Okay, well, at least a 2 of. If you run this at less than a 2 of, then you are insane, unless you have that much space problems. But in my opinion, at least a 3 of. But take that as you will. Then we have Gruesome Scythe Dragon. Grade 3, 2.5% of 13k base. Auto and placed on your rearguard circle. Discard a trigger unit from your hand. Choose a column and retire all your opponent's rearguards in that column. Cool, this thing just kills columns. That's all it does. It's really good. It gets triggers into drop zone. You can then use this or literally anything else that it supports Estrella to send those triggers into your soul. The only reason why I will not run this is because, again, I say the problem is not getting triggers into drop zone or getting them from drop zone into soul. The issue is getting triggers in general to get them into drop zone into soul. Like, I cannot tell you how much I struggle just to draw criticals or just triggers in general. When I start drawing them, I suddenly don't have a problem with playing the game. But until then, I'm running on vanillas because no matter how I built this deck, or after I put in Baiko, I cannot draw my triggers for the life of me. If they give us a card that is like top 5, get a trigger from among them, I'd be good. But until then, I am pretty much stuck with Lady Luck hating me until I get rid of Baiko, because I know Baiko is the reason why this happens. Until then, though, because I refuse to get rid of Baiko, since the whole point of the deck is to run Baiko in it, I am stuck with this. So yeah, that's how it is. Next up, we have Indomitable Angel, grade 2 and it's a 5k shield, 10k base. Auto is placed on guard circle. If your opponent's Vanguard is greater than your If your opponent's Vanguard is greater than yours in terms of grades, this unit gets 10k shield for the battle. All around, pretty solid. You know, it's a nice little quote-unquote hate card against stuff like Griffogila. If Griffogila ever became meta, then we know what Keter's going to have access to in terms of defending power. So all around, pretty solid. 15k shield. Not much more I can say about it. It's a warrantable 1 of 2 of tech, because you never know, but that's all I can really say about it. However, this thing, I don't know why I'm just attracted to. Knight of Lucidity Blazon. Okay, first up, that name is Blazon. Second up, that art is Blazon. And third up, that skill is Blazon. Take a shot every time I just said the word Blazon in the last 5 seconds. Grade 2 is a 5k shield, 10k base. Honor was placed on rearguard circle by any means. CB1 and drop a hand card. Choose one of your opponent's rearguards, and your opponent puts all cards the same name as that chosen unit from their rearguard circles and drops them to the bottom of their deck. Okay. A lot of decks that involve rearguard cloning and spamming of the same name most likely would benefit from this, because you're essentially re-looping their entire combo, what their whole board is based around. For example, my friend's Hyaki deck. However, if they don't have another copy of that available to them, they're gonna have to RNG that shit out from the bottom of their deck. So, Blazon, you might be coming to my premium decks, good buddy, because I can think of a lot of decks that I need an out to, and you are suddenly available. So, possible 2 of tech, just because it's an instant possible board wipe, depending on how much of your opponent's board is the same unit. And let's start this up with our remaining reveals. First up, we have Buy Attack Dragon for Kagero, grade 2 and it's a 5k shield, 10k base. Apparently, we are still doing these promos where they have their Vanguard and Rearguard skill, then they have the auto hand at the beginning of your ride phase. If you have a grade 1 or less, discard with this card to look at the top 5 for a grade 2 and add it to the hand, but whatever. Anyways, its skills: auto Vanguard or Rearguard once per turn. When this unit attacks into a Vanguard while boosted, caused by Soul Blasting 1, choose a column and retire all your opponent's Rearguards in that column. Cool. It's a column killer and has the top 5 ability. I do genuinely start questioning what's the point of having this skill if these things have Vanguard skills. Like, I get it that their skills are, I guess, better tailored for the late game where your opponent's actually going to do something against you, and they're better when you actually have setup, but I mean, killing a column could be really useful if your opponent's rushing you. So, I mean, it's not a bad card, honestly. Then we have Live Happy in Vacation Germain. Of course it is. Grade 10 so 5k shield, 10k base. The same thing of this for Bermuda. Auto Vanguard and Rearguard once per turn. 1, and attacks while boosted by counterblasting 1. Choose one of your other Rearguards and return it to the hand. And then if your opponent's Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater, choose up to 1 mermaid with a different card name from this card and from your hand and call it to Rearguard. Cool. Multi-attack and can technically start initiating combos if you have more cards that can bounce stuff. Granted, she can't call herself, so it makes it a little bit harder, but I know there are cards that can abuse the hell out of that ability. And then, like I said, it has the same exact skill as Buy Attack over here. I don't know how many of these are left, and I hope they are done with them, but I know they are not. Then we have Delta Append Sorceress, grade 2 Nissa 5k shield, 10k base, auto when she's placed on rearguard circle from the hand. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Sorceress in its card name, by counterbalancing 1, you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose one from among them, put it to the hand, and send the rest back to top or bottom. And then if you Persona Road this turn, choose up to 1 critical trigger or front trigger from your hand, reveal it, put it to the top of your deck. Cool. Very nice ability. It benefits Aquamarine very well because one thing that Aquamarine Sorceress lost out on when you changed it from regular Hexorc Sorceress was the fact that it couldn't stack triggers to the top. So now basically having a pseudo way to stack triggers is amazing. And also not to mention the fact too that if you play Delta Append with regular Hexorc being your main, this essentially guarantees you 2 either critical or front triggers at the top of your deck, possibly. So all around, Append Sorceress, very good grade 2. It can stack triggers. Hell, it could possibly make it even where you get triple triggers. And it has very good synergy with both Aquamarine and regular Hexorc Sorceress. Very solid card, easy 3 of if not 4 of. Then we have Diabolo's Tailbacker Derek, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. It was about time since they started reusing names. I mean, technically they're reusing and technically they're not because the other Derek was spelled differently. All I remember is having a Y in his name, but I mean it's pronounced the same way, but he's basically. Anyways, auto rearguard. When you would final rush, this unit gets continuous rearguard. During the battle, this unit boosted. When your opponent would call cards from their hand to guard circle, they must go 2 or more at the same time, and power plus 5,000 power. Cool, forces out 2 guard power, you know? Very solid grade 1. If only every single time I played Bruce and happened to get in Final Rush, this would actually be useful. Because most of the time people throw down 2 cards anyways when I'm boosting, so this doesn't really do anything. But I mean, cool, it kind of forces them to throw down 2 cards in case they had a PG, but there's not much more I can say about this. Still a solid grade 1 and the effort's appreciated, but at least for me personally, this is not what I needed, so I'll take a 2 of on that. Then we have this really cool boy in our last card of the day, and that is Diablo's Raid Carrier Gino. So grade 2 Nissa 5k shield, 10k base, auto when you break from a rearguard circle. When your Vanguard attacks, if you are in final burst, by Soul Blasting 2, for every 2 cards you damage, so choose one of your rearguards in the same column as this unit and stand it. And if you still 2 units, this unit gets plus 5k, they both get plus 5k power till end of turn. Okay, and then auto from a rearguard circle at the end of your turn. If you are in final rush, by putting this unit to soul, choose one normal from your soul, you may put this to hand. Okay. Can fetch out PGs, can basically turn Viamance Bruce into pseudo OG Bruce, but stronger, because now you can technically stand the front row, but now you can stand 2 columns instead of just 1, or you can just stand the same column twice and just get more numbers out of it either way. And then you technically cut the cost in half, because you only Soul Blast once, to stand possibly 2, but then you can send it to soul to bounce a normate from your soul to hand, so if you have a PG in there, you can fetch a PG or a Persona Ride or anything else. This is an amazing grade 2. Easy 4 of. You can abuse the hell out of it with restanding. You can get more cards in soul. The best part is this ability is not a once per turn for some arbitrary reason. So if you just have the soul to keep it going, you can kind of just stand it. And I'm willing to bet now this is what breaks Viamance Bruce. So if Bushy gives us any more free soul charges for Bruce. So easy 4 for Gino. Very solid card. Not much more I can say about it.